Okay, let's get rid of this. I got stuff going on here. All right, this is very embarrassing. I didn't have time to make a new video. So hey, how's everybody doing? What's up? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What's shaking? It's been an amazing day here. This is so awesome. I don't know why this didn't work. And I can probably do some stuff here to try and make sure we don't have a problem, but let's see. So this guy from the UK, his name's Leon Kennedy, and he sends me a file today. And I am going to make a video, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have a new opening song. And I thought it was playing over the usual crappy beginning of the show that we normally have. And oh God, I can't tell you how much I hate StreamYard. There just aren't enough words to tell you. Well, it works without. I'm gonna be relying on you, the audience, which I really don't like to do. Anyway, check this out. This guy made this new song, which I think is incredible. Totally incredible for the show. Leon S. Kennedy. I don't even care. He's from the UK. I don't even care if he sports Tottenham. That's how good this song is. Here you go.
We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we're talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way.
Is that not incredible? We're going to listen to it again. It's only 2.5 minutes long. It's not going to kill you. And then we're going to get into George Carlin. I'm going to tell you everything there is to know. But let me tell you about George Carlin. It's going to be great. Glad you enjoyed it. I've listened to it like 50 times. Freaking incredible. What do we got here? Fantastic song. Well, good. We're going to listen again. We're going to hear this sucker again. This is so good. I'm just sorry that it didn't work over the video, which it should have. Thank you, StreamYard. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, hold on a second. This right here, Funky Bronco, I'm timing you out. If I get in here tomorrow and you've got 9 posts about how drunk you are, that's going to be it. I'm sorry. It's such a downer. You can't imagine what a downer it is to get in here and have to stare at your alcohol problem every time I start a show. And on the day that, like, you know, just play it on repeat for the whole show, I will. But see, this weekend I'll make a video for it. And it'll be awesome. Chef approved. Well, let's listen to it one more time. I should have put a bunch of photos in here of me, and then I could sort of, but don't worry about it. I'll make a video this weekend. I have these 2 giant projects I'm working on. They each should take a week or 2, and I have to do them in 2 or 3 days. It says, are you going to make it the new intro song? You bet your ass I am. I don't like to use language like that on this show, but that, yeah, you bet your, yes. And by the way, I'm old. But besides the fact that I'm old, I'm like an Al Green fan. And I think if you go to my YouTube page in the community section, you will see, and I don't put all of them up. I just put them up one time. But usually on YouTube, every month, I'm one of the like top 1% of listeners of Al Green music. And so this era and this style of music is one of, if not my favorite. Well, I really don't have a favorite because I'm a musical freak, even though a lot of people that I know that exist on the internet think music is dumb. Yes. I don't. I love music. And H2BH, Leon is a follower of the Pod Awful cult and the Pod Awful Pizza Fund and all that. And I recommend that you all watch Pod Awful as well. It's a very funny show. And says, I tried to get it to sound like Al Green, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh, brother, you hit it out of the park. By the way, you don't support Tottenham, do you? Doesn't matter if you do. I'll make an exception. Check. Let's one more time. Let's go.
We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way.
Oh, man, that is so good. So this weekend, after I get these 2 huge, unnecessarily, I will make a new video. opening video, and we'll all long lament the old video that I did just as a test and never bothered to, because you know how we do it around here. Oh my God, that is good. Leon S. Kennedy, thank you so much. He says he really doesn't watch football, but one of his good friends supports Tottenham and they suck. Thank you. Spoken like a true gunner. God, I hate Tottenham. A fellow Arsenal supporter once told me, I hate Tottenham more than I love Arsenal. Anyway. God, that is great. Leon, thank you so much. I needed that. Like I said, I'm in the middle of this very, very, very arduous, terrible amount of work. I haven't slept in the last 3 or 4 days. The Huntsman Spider show, I think, got a record low views from yesterday. It's not been good lately here on the Tom Gulley Show in terms of viewership. But now that we've got this, I think we're going to be fine, aren't we? Please.
We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we're talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way.
Oh, man, we're playing that some more throughout the show. I don't give a damn. I just don't give a damn. Oh, Captain Stonecrab is here. He's got to go take the trash cans out. Well, that's what this show is made for. Gilman, man, you are paying attention to this show. I have a T-shirt I wear hardly ever, from a band that I happen to know some of the guys in, a metal band called Gas Chamber. You are paying attention, dude. I don't think they're going to do a metal version. I don't even know if they're together anymore. They lived in my apartment complex back in 2017 or something. I don't think they're going to do. I don't think Gas Chamber is going to do anything. I would doubt it if they're still together. They owe me money. Anyway. Hey, again, thank you, Leon S. Kennedy. Beeb. I'm going to just call you Beeb. You, whatever you need, man. Whatever you want. If you got a show topic, whatever you need, there you are. Pod Awful is here to rain on my parade. Thanks. I'm going to have to play the song again just to get in a better mood now. George Carlin was not a comedian. Okay, social critic, actor, author. Actor and author you really can't get away from, dude. Try as you might. Lucas Malago is here. He's got an up point. So there you go. It's always good when Pot Awful comes in here. And again, in case certain people weren't listening earlier, I highly recommend that you listen to the Pot Awful show. I think it's Ephemera Obscura, which is not, it's not that original, but it's very appropriate, and you need to give them $1. I don't know how or why you will justify that $1. I don't even know how you're going to give them the $1, but I want you to give them $1. It says he was a guy that read the thesaurus mostly. Well, I'm sure he made his way around a thesaurus, but I guess you don't care about the landmark Pacifica case that defines the government's right to censor indecent material on the public airwaves or any of the other things he did. Leon S. Kennedy said, maybe I can call in next time you're on and we can make fun of Jesse while he's powerless. No, Leon, no. That's a bad idea. That's a very, very bad idea. You don't do that. That's something we won't be doing. But I will be opening up the phone lines later on after I'm done with George Carlin. And George Carlin's going to take a while. I happen to be a big fan of George Carlin. He says he will now list the 7 words you can't say on the internet, which I don't think there are. Well, I think there's only one, but I won't say it because I don't want to be deplatformed. Jesse, no! Hey, can't you let an old man have his recollections? This actually is the almost anniversary. I took my sisters to see George Carlin at Clues Hall in Indianapolis for their 18th birthday, I think, something like that. It was a long time ago. A lot of people like George Carlin. It's brought them much joy. And also, in Jesse's defense, George Carlin, the sort of the back end of his career was sort of, a lot of George Carlin fans, he got very angry, seemingly angry. I don't know if he was really angry. But earlier on in his career, he was much lighter, much more sort of... Anyway, let me tell you about George Carlin. We're going to listen to that song again, too. At any moment when I feel blood sugar level drops, then we're going to listen to the song again. God, that's awesome. I love it. Thank you. Thank you again. George Dennis Patrick Carlin, he's got 4 names right there, was an American stand-up comedian. Yeah, I said it. A social critic, an actor, an author, kind of a critically acclaimed author. And he is regarded as one of the most important and influential comedians of all time, known for his dark comedy at a certain point, reflections on politics, the English language, psychology, religion, and taboo subject matter. What's the line? It's called The American Dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. Come on, man. Come on, man. Leon says, most importantly, he was in Bill and Ted. That's right. He had his own show for a while. Anyway, he was a frequent performer and also a guest host on The Tonight Show. Most people don't even remember that Johnny Carson would take Fridays off or certain periods of time off, and they would just have guests come in and do it. Carlin was one of those people during the 3 decades of Johnny Carson. And this is something that we should remember, on the 50th, or just after the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, he was the first host, the very first host. He had 14 comedy specials on HBO. First one was in 1977. Dupe was like, I forgot he was in Bill and Ted. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Anyway, 5 Grammy Awards for Best Comedy Album. FM and AM, Jammin' in New York, Brain Droppings, Napalm and Silly Putty, and It's Bad For You. That last one was filmed and recorded less than 4 months before his final heart attack. It's a bad heart. He had lots of heart attacks. Mary Jacobs is here. Says, how are you, Tom? I'm doing great. How are you? He was also known for his appearances in movies like Car Wash, Outrageous Fortune, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure, The Prince of Tides, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Scary Movie 3, and sadly, Jersey Girl. He voiced a number of things in cartoons, and he was also the conductor on Shining Time Station. There you go. He won the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor in 2008, posthumously. He was number 2 on Comedy Central's list of top 10 American comedians. Rolling Stone magazine ranked him second on its list of 50 best stand-up comedians of all time. In both cases, behind Richard Pryor and ahead of one of his idols, Lenny Bruce. Incidentally, we're going to do a show about Lenny Bruce next week. Next week, we will cover Lenny Bruce. The Wolf is here. He says, hello, folks. Wolf, did you hear the song? Tell me if you heard the song, the new song. Because if you didn't, we're listening to the new song again. It's only 2.5 minutes, folks. It's a toe tapper. You'll enjoy it. I don't care if this show goes long, even though I have 2 giant, awful, terrible, not as bad as a huntsman spider, okay? But still pretty bad. Wolf, quit talking to that Alki. I'm going to time him out as well. Again, he's interfering with the show. And Funky, I am so serious. You know, I am so serious about blocking you for forever. I really am. Why isn't this doing it like I want to? Wolf, have you heard that? I haven't heard the, well, we're listening to the new song again, folks, because the Wolf just got here. Check this out. Whoops. Check this out. I clicked on the wrong thing. All right, Wolf, this is the new opening song for the Tom Gulley Show, and I'll do a video this weekend. I've been kind of tuning in for the old song. Well, you're in trouble because we got a new song now, Chief.
We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we're talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way.
Hey, there you go, Wolf. God, I love that song. God, I love that song. Hey, by the way, Stone Crab, you can always listen to the old shows if you want to hear the old song. And tomorrow, you got tomorrow. Mary says, my gifted membership has said 0 days left for like 3 days. Did someone give me one, or I do not understand how the days work? Well, Mary, I'm assuming someone else gifted you one. And that when the other one expired, I don't know. I'm just glad you got one. Doopadoopadoo says, Mary, you probably got another gifted membership. Yes, we need to send that toe tapper to Brad. I neglected to mention during our Hoosiers episode that director David Onspa is from Decatur, Indiana, the hometown of Brad. There we go. Mary Jacobs says, we were talking about spiders is my favorite part. Yeah. And I think he's got the British pronunciation of pervitine, but I don't care. It's too good. Tapped. Very generous. Toe tapper. Yes. We had some generous folks around here, Mary. Captain Stonecrab says, we're here to talk about spiders. We're here to talk about bin Laden. It's pervitin, but it's just a slightly unique pronunciation, but it doesn't matter. Pervitine, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes songs, what's it, The Pompatus of Love in that Steve Miller song, he in an interview he goes, it doesn't mean anything. I just came up with it. It's ridiculous. I just thought it sounded neat. He says, I also know Bigfoot it is a female, but I don't care. The lyrics are still funny. I'm with you. And we don't know if the person who dressed up in the suit was a male or a female. It's all conjecture. For the purposes of our song and our show. And anyway. George Carlin was born in a New York hospital way back there in 1937. Wait a minute. Kelvin says, I got time for any hero of Dave C. Dave Chappelle? I guess that's Dave C. Stonecrow says, Pervitine, is that like an old-timey hair gel? Well, it can be. Please do not transpat. Yeah, I'm not doing that. It doesn't exist. Weird Al, step aside. So George Carlin was born in 1937 there in New York, at New York Hospital. Very New York kind of guy. Son of Mary and Patrick. Had an older brother, Patrick Jr., who had a major influence on his comedy, was sometimes directly involved in it. Carlin called himself fully Irish. His mother was born in New York to Irish immigrants, and his father was an Irish immigrant from Clogan, County Donegal. In his autobiography called Last Words, he wrote about a fantasy of Ireland he often had when his first wife was alive. The southeastern parts, so that it would be a little warmer, and the two of us there, close enough to Dublin that you could go buy the things he needed. His maternal grandfather was an NYPD police officer who used to write out the works of William Shakespeare for fun. His parents separated when he was 2 months old due to the alcoholism of his father. Carlin said his father was never around. His mother raised him and his brother on their own, and when he was 8-year-old, his father died anyway. He picked up an appreciation for the effective use of the English language from his mother, though they had a difficult relationship, and he often ran away from home. He grew up on West 121st Street in Manhattan's Morningside Heights neighborhood. His friends, and he called it White Harlem because it sounded tougher than the real name. He attended Corpus Christi School, a Catholic parish school. One of his closest childhood friends was Randy Jurgensen, who became the most decorated homicide detective in New York Police Department history. His mother had a television set, and that was something that very few people owned at the time, and Carlin became an just insatiable fan of the pioneering late-night talk show Broadway Open House. Broadway Open House, which was not on the air that long, but whatever. He attended Bishop Du Bois High School in Harlem. Yes, in Harlem. He joined the United States Air Force and was trained as a radar technician. He was stationed at Barksdale Air Force Base in Bossier City, Louisiana, began working as a DJ at radio station KJOE in nearby Shreveport in July of 1956. Called an unproductive airman by his superiors, he received a general discharge, general, not honorable, general discharge in July of 1957. During his time in the Air Force, he was court-martialed 3 times and received many non-judicial punishments and reprimands. Now, this is the George Carlin that I grew up with. We're going to get to some other stuff here in a second, okay? Kelvin says, I see the Irish are the most naturally funny nationality, incredible sense of humor. Victor says he liked George Carlin, who didn't. Stone Crab says, I went to PS 102 in Brooklyn, not the same school as George Carlin. If you want a really great George Carlin album, there's 2 of them that are my favorite. One is called Occupation Fool, and the other one is called Class Clown. Let's see here. Kelvin says, I used to watch a lot of Carlin clips during university. Warfield says, I could listen to that song, eat German chocolate, and calmly sip mint Julio, rocking on the porch here in the flower of the South. I assume that's a mint julep. Pervitin, my good friend Captain Stone Crab, is methamphetamine that they gave the German soldiers during the World War II. Many times it was in chocolate. They would put it in chocolate. And by the way, we've covered it. There's a whole show on Pervitin, which is why it's in the song. And just as an aside, the German public was also buying Pervitin over the counter, didn't need a prescription, like crazy. If you ever wondered why the Blitzkrieg worked and they were able to storm all these countries, they were all on Pervitin, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, in 1959, Carlin met Jack Burns. And Jack Burns is an interesting dude. Very interesting. You might have seen him on Sanford and Son. Burns and Shriver, another comedian, Avery Schreiber, were giant during the 70s. But he was also a DJ at radio station KXOL in Fort Worth, Texas. And they made a comedy team after successful performances in these beat coffee houses in Fort Worth. Within weeks of arriving in California, which he left for in 1960, Burns and Carlin put together an audition tape and created the Wright Brothers, a morning show on KDAY in Hollywood. During their stay there, they honed their act in these beatnik coffee houses. This was the early 60s. Beatnik coffee houses were kind of your open mics back in that time. Years later, when he was honored with the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, he requested that it be placed in front of the KDAY studios near the corner of Sunset Boulevard and Vine Street. Burns and Carlin recorded their only album, Burns and Carlin, at the Playboy Club tonight in May of 1960. After 2 years as a team, they parted to pursue individual careers, but remained the best of friends. And then, of course, Jack Burns goes on to, because that's not Jack Burns, by the way. That's a singer, Buddy Greco, and that's in 1967. George Carlin, of course, the one in back. And he was really straight back then. He wore a suit. His hair was short. It was cut properly and all that good stuff. But in the 60s, he started appearing on variety shows where he played all sorts of characters, Native American sergeant, a stupid radio disc jockey, and the legendary hippy-dippy weatherman. Variations of these routines appear on his very first single album, solo album, Takeoffs and Put-Ons, which was recorded live in 1966 at the Rooster Tail in Detroit. During that time, Carlin became a frequent performer on The Tonight Show. The Tonight Show. He was on The Tonight Show, yes. But not the Johnny Carson Tonight Show, the Jack Parr Tonight Show, and then later with Johnny Carson. Carlin became one of Carson's most frequent substitutes because he had substitute hosts back then. Frank Sinatra would substitute host, Telly Savalas, Burt Reynolds, all sorts of people. But Carlin was one of his favorites. He was also cast in Away We Go, a 1967 CBS comedy show. His material during his early career and his appearance As you can see, the suits, the short cropped hair was seen as very conventional, especially when we compare it to what happened later. Now, for those of you who don't know, Lenny Bruce was just an absolute groundbreaking stand-up comedian. If you listen to Lenny Bruce's work now, not all of it is funny. Not all of it is funny. There's a few very funny routines that he had. One of them was Goyim versus Gentile. Another was Catholics Incorporated. But a lot of it was more or less philosophy. And the biggest influence that Lenny Bruce had on other comedians was the way that he did his stand-up comedy. It was a running narrative with voices. He was almost acting out certain scenarios and things, which, if you've ever seen George Carlin, it's part of his deal too. Well, George Carlin was present at Lenny Bruce's arrest for obscenity at the Gate of Horn Club in Chicago in December of '62. As the police began detaining audience members for questioning, they asked Carlin for identification. After responding he didn't believe in government-issued IDs, Carlin was arrested and taken to jail with Lenny Bruce in the very same vehicle. There we go. Check that out. Captain Stone Crab, thank you so much for the $1.99. Pervertine, there is no cure other than total world domination. Yes, total world domination. Stanley Cross is here. Stan the man, his birthday was yesterday. I spent the whole day with him, and I would have spent more time except for my good friends at Spectrum decide to perform what they called a planned maintenance. Well, if it's planned, why didn't you let me know about it? So at 12:30 last night, my internet went out for a couple of hours. Stanley, again, belated happy birthday. Stanley, have you heard our new theme song? Stanley, you will love this song. Please tell me in the chat whether you've heard the new theme song. I'll play it again. Wolf says there's also a picture of Pervertine and Tom Gulley, the soldier. Oh, yes. People saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi. You know, we do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet as verified by independent sources. Kelvin says, and Dave Chappelle does the same thing too. Well, Kelvin, almost all comedians after Lenny Bruce, not almost all, but quite a few of them, including one of my favorite comedians that we will do a show on. You know, we might just do a show on great old stand-up a week. We need to do a Robert Klein. In fact, maybe we'll do Robert Klein next week. You know what? I should try to actually get a hold of Robert Klein. I'm sure he wouldn't do this show. We don't get enough viewers. But if I could get Robert Klein on here, oh, God, was I a Robert Klein fan. Robert Klein was incredible. Stanley says he hadn't. People wishing him happy birthday. There we go. Stanley even getting one day belated happy birthdays. All right, we're playing the song again. And then I'm going to tell you about George Carlin's transformation. Matter of fact, I will put the transformation photo. This is George Carlin standing next to a picture of himself after his transformation to straight-laced button-down comedian to the voice of a generation, or however you want to refer to him. So we're going to listen to the song again. This will take 2.5 minutes.
We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about providing, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Ooh.
Oh man, that's good. Good gravy. That is so good. That's our new theme song. Dupa, I'm going to give it a shot. You know what? I bet you he's got to have some sort of online presence. And I'm just going to give it a try. Having Robert Klein as a guest would be awesome. I'm going to reach out to him. Even if I get a no, thank you, that's fine. I mean, I'll be really honest with him. Hey, look, we got about 1,300 followers. Some of my shows don't even get triple digits. But if I can get 5 minutes of your time, it'll be the thrill of a lifetime. And we talk about that. Hey, now, I listened twice. That's not what it says. It's not what it says. It's a family show we got going on here. They'll close the place down. Anyway, in the late 1960s, George Carlin was making about $250,000 a year. And that's good money for the late 1960s. Let me tell you, folks. That's what we call damn good money. You know what I mean? That's damn good money. Oh, I tell you what, they have screwed this up so bad. Anyway, that's damn good money. In 1970, though, he changed his routines and his appearance. He grew his hair long, as you can see. See? He sported a beard, typically dressed in a T-shirt and blue jeans. Now, he lost a lot of TV work by dressing in that fashion because at the time, comedians dressed up in the suit, you know. He hired some new managers who helped him change his image. He looked hip for a younger audience. And he started playing smaller clubs like the Troubadour in West Hollywood and the Bitter End in New York City. And later, Carlin said his income decreased by 90%, but this would set the stage for his career arc to last what we call in the business a career arc, which I don't have one. No career arc. My career arc is like the circumference of a pencil. In 1970, this company was formed. It was called Little David Records. It was a tiny little portion of Atlantic Records, and comedian Flip Wilson was a co-owner. And Wilson, along with a guy named Monty Kaye, signed Carlin away from RCA and recorded a performance of his at the Cellar Door in Washington, D.C. And that was released as the album FM and AM in 1972. Now, one of his managers was busy managing Freddie Prinze and was about to sign Richard Pryor. So he let Carlin loose to one of the Little David Records general managers, and that guy was just as wild and rebellious as George Carlin. Using a new springboard of his persona, he was presented by Ed Sullivan in a thing he called the hair piece, which was just a commentary on people's hair, and quickly regained his popularity as the public caught on to what he was doing, playing with words and the culture and all that other stuff. Starting in 1972, he had a partnership with a singer-songwriter named Kenny Rankin on Little David Records, and he was a lot of times Carlin's musical guest or opening act. The two of them flew together in Carlin's private jet, and says that guy relapsed into cocaine use when Carlin was on tour, since so much was available. FM and AM proved very popular, and this is when Carlin went full-on counterculture comedy. The AM side was an extension of Carlin's previous style with zany but clean routines. The FM side had the new style with references to marijuana, birth control pills, a look at the word SHI, hockey stick. I don't know how you say it without saying it. In this way, Carlin renewed a style of like social commentary, that Lenny Bruce had pioneered in the late 1950s. During this period, this is when George Carlin perfected his well-known 7 Dirty Words routine, which appears most notably on that Class Clown album that I told you about. And those are S, P, F, C, C, S, M, F, and T. Those are the heavy 7s. Those are the ones that'll infect your soul, curve your spine, and keep the country from winning the war. However, in July of 1972, Carlin was arrested while performing this routine at Milwaukee's Summer Fest and charged with violating obscenity laws. And that case, which prompted Carlin for a time to call the words the Milwaukee 7, was dismissed in December, but when the judge declared that the language was indecent, but that Carlin had the freedom to say it as long as he caused no disturbance. So there you are. In 1973, a man complained to the FCC after listening with his son to the Filthy Words routine from Carlin's Occupation Fool album, which was broadcast on radio station WBAI. This was a legendary case in the history of American broadcasting. The FCC cited Pacifica, which was the company that owned the station, for violating regulations that prohibit broadcasting obscene material. And the Supreme Court upheld the FCC action by a vote of 5-4, ruling that the routine was indecent but not obscene, and that the FCC had the authority to prohibit such broadcasts during this is very important, during the hours when children were likely to be among the audience. And so that paved the way for stations to have sort of a family hour or whatever. And then late at night, you could be dirty, really dirty, like this show, dirty. Just dirty. Yes, my career arc is the size of a Pervitine tablet. The Wool says it's small, but a real stick of dynamite. Pot Awful says it's pronounced Shitey. I don't know. It's pronounced Israel. Oh, hey, easy. Why, that northern trash is filthy, I say. Now, this controversy actually increased Carlin's fame. He eventually expanded the Dirty Words theme with like no end. He would keep adding and keep messing with it. On stage, during a rendition of that routine, Carlin learned that his previous comedy album, FM and AM, had won a Grammy. Midway through the performance on the album Occupation Fool, he could be heard thanking someone for handing him a piece of paper. He then exclaims, "Shitey," from the earlier thing here, and proudly announces his win to the audience. Over his career, Carlin was arrested 7 times for reciting the 7 Dirty Words routine. Carlin hosted the premiere broadcast, as I told you earlier, of NBC's Saturday Night Live. That was on October 11th, 1975. At his request, he didn't appear in any of the sketches. During the next season, he appeared regularly on CBS Television's Tony Orlando and Dawn variety series. He unexpectedly stopped performing regularly in 1976 at the height of his career at the time. For the next 5 years, he almost never performed stand-up, although it was during this time that he began doing specials for HBO as part of its On Location series. Can I tell you, when I first got cable, it was around this time, 1975, 1976, and HBO they would only like show at first 2 movies every day. And they weren't on until like 5 o'clock at night. and they'd show 2 movies. They'd repeat those 2 movies, and then they'd go dark again until the next day at 5 o'clock. They started adding programming. A lot of it they would create themselves, and on location. It's hard for me to describe this to people who weren't around at the time, but take it from me. Unless you went to a club and saw a stand-up comic, you never got to see all their work or bought one of their albums. You would only see 3 to 5 minutes on a talk show. That's it. That's all you knew of them. And of course, during the talk shows, they didn't use any profanity at all. On Location was the first place on television that would show a complete comedy special. That's where I first saw Robert Klein. That's where I first saw, a lot of stand-up comics. Steve Martin, Norm Crosby, Frank Gorsh. I mean, tons of them finally had their whole show out there for the world to see. John Biner, who was amazing. Carlin unexpectedly stopped performing regularly, like I told you about, but he did do those 14 specials for HBO, starting with On Location. Later, he revealed that he had suffered the first of his 3 heart attacks during that layoff period. In 1981, Carlin returned to the stage, releasing A Place for My Stuff and returning to HBO with Carlin at Carnegie, obviously filmed at Carnegie Hall. He continued doing HBO specials every year or two over the following decade and a half. All of Carlin's albums from this time forward are on HBO specials. So all the rest of them from about 1981, same stuff on his album was on the HBO special. He hosted Saturday Night Live for a second time in 1984, and this time he appeared in a bunch of sketches. And this is also when he started to achieve prominence as a film actor, with a major supporting role in the 1987 comedy hit Outrageous Fortune, starring Bette Midler and Shelley Long. It was his first notable screen role. There you go. Beginning in 1988, Carlin evolved and adopted a new appearance and new direction. He blended his old and new styles by bringing in politics and his disdain for society, while still pointing at the odd things that we do and the weird way that we speak. But this led, and I'm showing a picture of it now, to darker material, very aggressive tone, which turned out to be his most popular and widely seen HBO specials. And he did those until he passed away. In 1989, he gained popularity with a new generation of teens when he was cast as Rufus, the time-traveling mentor of Bill and Ted in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and he was in the sequels as well. He had a major supporting role in the film The Prince of Tides, which starred Nick Nolte and Barbara Streisand as the gay neighbor of the main character's suicidal sister. Thank you for the pronunciation guide, Tim. In 1991, Carlin became the second American narrator of the children's television series Thomas and Friends, narrating the first 4 seasons. Is that like about a train or something? No, it's just, I don't know what it is. Shining Time Station, I know, was about a train, and he played Mr. Conductor, replacing Ringo Starr on both of those programs. Carlin was nervous about recording his narration without an audience, so producers put a stuffed teddy bear in the booth. Carlin's Jammin' in New York, a new HBO special in 1992, highlighted the directional change he'd been honing as he wore all black with longer hair and very biting, bitter humor. Yes. In 1993, and by the way, if you've never seen this sitcom, it's really good. The George Carlin Show, playing New York City cab driver George O'Grady. It was written by The Simpsons co-creator Sam Simon, only ran for 27 episodes. In his autobiography, Carlin wrote about the show, "I had a great time. I never laughed so much, so often, so hard as I did with cast members Alex Rocco, Chris Rich, and Tony Stark." There was a very strange, very good sense of humor on that stage. I was incredibly happy when the show was canceled, though I was frustrated that it had taken me away from my true work. His first hardcover book, Brain Droppings, sold nearly 1 million copies and spent 40 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. I got to find this George Carlin show thing, because there's a chick on that show who I've always thought was just smoking hot. I'm telling you. Susan Sullivan. Wow. She's gorgeous. I should try to get her on the show. I should try to get all sorts of people on the show that would never do it, because nobody watches this show. Leon says, Thomas and Friends is a children's show. Used to watch it as a baby. Ringo Starr was the narrator. Yeah, I guess George took over for him. Thomas the Tank Engine. Yes, Stanley. And the Wolf says he was on a show with Iron Man. No, this Stark has an E on the end of it. An E. Carlin said there were other more pragmatic reasons for abandoning his acting career in favor of stand-up. He told Esquire magazine, because of my abuse of drugs, I neglected my business affairs and I had large arrears with the IRS. And that took me 18 to 20 years to dig out of. I did it honorably and I don't begrudge them. I don't hate paying taxes and I'm not angry at anyone because I was complicit in it. But I'll tell you what it did for me. It made me a way better comedian because I had to stay out on the road and I couldn't pursue that movie career, which would have gone nowhere. And I became a really good comic and a really good writer. He received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the American Comedy Awards in 2001. He performed regularly as a headliner in Las Vegas, but in 2004, his run at the MGM Grand had been terminated after an altercation with his audience after a poorly received set filled with dark references to unaliving bombings and beheadings. Carlin complained that he could not wait to get out of this blanking hotel in Las Vegas. He wanted to go back east, he said, where real people are. He continued, people who go to Las Vegas, you've got to question their blanking intellect to start with. Traveling hundreds and thousands of miles to essentially give your money to a large corporation is kind of blanking moronic. That's what I'm always getting here, is these kind of blanking people with very limited intellects. An audience member shouted, "Stop degrading us." Carlin responded, "Thank you very much, whatever that was. I hope it was positive. If not, well, blank me." He was immediately fired, and soon thereafter his representative announced that he would begin treatment for alcohol and prescription painkiller addiction on his own initiative. After his 13th HBO special, Life is Worth Losing, in 2005, Carlin toured his new material through the first half of 2006. Topics included unaliving, natural disasters, cannibalism, genocide, human sacrifice, threats to civil liberties in the United States, and his theory that humans are inferior to other animals. Yeah. He was in the Pixar film Cars, and he voiced Fillmore, an anti-establishment hippie VW microbus with a psychedelic paint job and license plate 51237, which is actually Carlin's birthday. Carlin's last HBO special, It's Bad For You, aired live March 1st, 2008. Themes included American BS, rights, death, old age, and child rearing. He repeated the theme to his audience several times throughout the show. It's all BS and it's bad for you. When asked on his Inside the Actor Studio special what turned him on, he responded, reading about language. That's to Jesse P.S.'s point, I guess. When asked what made him proudest of his career, he cited the fact that his books sold close to 1 million copies. And his personal life is interesting. In August of 1960, while touring with comedy partner Jack Burns in Dayton, Ohio, Carlin stopped at a roadside diner where he met waitress Brenda Hosbrook. They began dating and were married at her parents' home in Dayton on June 3rd, 1961. Their only child, Kelly Marie Carlin, and she's very active online currently and just really kind of insightful and picking up a little bit of her father's mantle and running with it. And she's a radio host. What do you know? Carlin and Hasbrouck renewed their wedding vows in Vegas in 1971, but their marriage was often marred by his cocaine use and her alcoholism, the latter of which worsened when Carlin's mother came to stay with them and would secretly pour Hasbrouck drinks while degrading Carlin. When Hasbrouck was hospitalized due to her drinking, she told Carlin that she would not return home if his mother was there. He immediately went home, booked his mother a flight to New York, and took her to the airport. The couple soon addressed their addiction issues. The marriage improved so much that his daughter later said it felt like it had been rebooted. However, let's see here. Brenda Hasbrouck died of liver cancer on May 11th, 1997, just one day before George Carlin's birthday. He met comedy writer Sally Wade 6 months after Brenda's death and said it was love at first sight, but told her he was hesitant to act on his feelings so soon after being widowed. He said he needed to be alone, potentially up for like a year before he'd be ready to date again. They had absolutely no contact for 8 months, and she assumed that he had moved on. But then he called her to ask her out. They got married in a private, unregistered ceremony and remained married until Carlin's death. In a 2008 interview, Carlin said that using marijuana, LSD, and mescaline had helped him cope with life. He also said several times he had battled addiction to alcohol, cocaine, and Vicodin, and spent some time in rehab. During the taping of his stand-up special, Life is Worth Losing It, he said he'd been sober for 341 days. Although born into a Catholic family, Carlin outspokenly rejected religion, criticizing and mocking its routines. When asked if he believed in God, he responded, "No, there's no God, but there might be some sort of an organizing intelligence, and I think to understand it is probably way beyond our ability." His family had a history of heart problems, and so did George Carlin, including heart attacks in 1978, 1982, and 1991. He also had an arrhythmia requiring an extensive procedure in 2003, a significant episode of heart failure in 2005, and 2 angioplasties. In the 2022 documentary George Carlin's American Dream, Carlin's manager from 1980 until his death, Jerry Hamza, said Carlin underwent heart surgeries in a short period toward the end of his life. His publicist, Jeff Abraham, said he once lifted his shirt after coming to a gig from the hospital to show Abraham his torso, and he said it looked like a science project. On June 22nd, 2008, George Carlin died of a heart attack in St. John's Health Center, Santa Monica, California. His death occurred 1 week after his final performance at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. According to his wishes, and in accordance with his wishes, his body was cremated, his ashes scattered from the fronts of various New York nightclubs and over Spofford Lake in New Hampshire, where he had attended summer camp as a teenager. His will stated there was to be no funeral, and he wished only for his widow and daughter to host a small gathering at his home for loved ones to share stories of him. He won a lot of awards, 2 Grammy Awards, nominated for 6 Primetime Emmy Awards, 2 Daytime Emmy Awards, star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. His influence, he said, God, why can't I talk? I used to be able to talk. Come on. Anyway. He listed as his influences Danny Kaye, Jonathan Winters, Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, Nichols and May, Jerry Lewis, the Marx Brothers, Mort Saul, Spike Jones, Ernie Kovacs, and the Ritz Brothers. His daughter Kelly said in 2022 he took more acting roles in the latter half of his career because he never gave up on the Danny Kaye dream. Comedians who have claimed Carlin as an influence include Adam Ferrara, Bill Burr, Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld, Louis C.K., Louis Black, Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, Bill Maher, Patrice O'Neill, Colin Quinn, Stephen Wright, Mitch Hedberg, Russell Peters, Bo Burnham. I wish Jesse would weigh in on Bo Burnham. Jay Leno, Ben Stiller, Kevin Smith, Chris Rush, Rob McElhenney, and Jim Jeffries. a lot of tributes to George Carlin, one of which was the naming of this street in New York, in his old neighborhood. And there is a podcast at the TomGulleyShow.com with a comedian by the name of Kevin Bartini, who was instrumental, I won't say solely responsible for, but instrumental for the naming of that street. 4 days before his death, the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts named him its 2008 Mark Twain Prize for American Humor honoree, and he became the first posthumous recipient a little bit later that year. For years, Carlin had been compiling and writing his autobiography to be released in conjunction with the one-man Broadway show, which he had tentatively titled New York Boy. After his death, collaborator on both projects, Tony Hendra, edited the autobiography for release as Last Words. In 2008, Kelly Carlin announced plans to publish an oral history, a collection of stories from Carlin's friends and family. She later said the project had been shelved in favor of completion of her own project, an autobiographical one-man show called Carlin Home Companion, Growing Up with George. There we are. George Carlin's American Dream, a documentary about Carlin's life, was released on HBO Max on May 20th, 2022. It is directed by Judd Apatow and Michael Bonfiglio and produced by Carlin's daughter, Kelly. There we are. By the way, many internet hoaxes have been falsely attributed to Carlin, including various joke lists, rants, and other pieces. The website Snopes, which debunks a lot of these things, has addressed these hoaxes. Many of them contain material that runs counter to Carlin's viewpoints. Some are especially hostile toward racial groups, gay people, women, the homeless, and other targets. Carlin was aware of this and debunked the quotes, writing on his website, "Here is a rule of thumb, folks. Nothing you see on the internet is mine unless it comes from one of my albums, books, HBO specials, or appeared on my website. It bothers me that some people might believe that I would be capable of writing some of this stuff." And to prove that point, Weird Al Yankovic referenced the hoaxes in his song, "Stop Forwarding That Crap to Me," with the lyrics, "And by the way, your quotes from George Carlin aren't really George Carlin." So there you are. That's all I have to tell you right now about George Carlin. I'm going to open up the phone lines here. We might take some phone line calls, and we're definitely playing the song. Definitely playing the song again. Definitely. Personally, I think kangaroos are superior to most humans. The Wolf says, "I wonder if Scott Green would agree with you." The Magician Wolf? Oh, no. The lad from Australia. Yes, Stanley, we have a frequent person that calls in. He's entertaining. He's growing on me. We'll see what happens. He's growing on me. Maybe we should have some music while the phone lines are opening. Hold on. Perhaps a little music while the phone lines are opening? What do you say?
We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me
wonderful thing. No, I couldn't star in that. I wouldn't even get the role, probably. Probably wouldn't even get the role. Maybe this guy here would. I don't know. I couldn't. That can never be done. Phone lines are open at 972-994-6822. And by the by, I didn't even say this yet on this show. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Please like, please share, please retweet, please notification bell. I screwed up too because we had a whole bunch of people in here at one time and now we don't. And so, whatever. All those things are free and they do help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful laws in the algorithm. And you know, we have super chats and memberships because we got to pay the bills around here. And we appreciate the, you know, a little something for the effort. Also, turn on those gifted memberships because really generous people gift memberships to the show. And Mary Jacobs and people like her can get them. So here, welcome to the Pervitine Hour. It should be. I'd be a lot better right now if I was, you know, if that was available to me. I'd have the energy to do all the things I need to do in the way that I need to do them. But 972-994-6822 is the number to call if you care to. And you don't have to. I don't know what else to say. You know, if nobody calls in, well, nobody needs to call in. The show's gone long already. Robert Klein sees this. He'll never come on this show. Oh, behind me, by the way, is the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, California. Or maybe it's the New York one. I don't know. I think it's the one in L.A. And see on the marquee, George Carlin, rest in peace, make God laugh. And I'm sure he did and does and is. Although he doesn't really necessarily believe in God or didn't. Tim Jenkinson says, looking like a vicar with the black top with the white collar. Yes, the Vicar of Dibley. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. Certain people in my general vicinity need to repair their muffler. A manifold is not a muffler. They're also guilty of doing that thing where, because my car is so loud, because I won't simply have the muffler fixed, go down the Midas, I'm going to turn my stereo up so loud you can hear it in the next state. There's a solution. Did you get Father Ted in America? That was a good show. We have access to Father Ted, and it was an excellent show. And it is an excellent show. And I love Father Ted. The Wolf says, palm tree in the background, definitely out. Good eye. Good eye, Wolf. Stanley Cross says, Vicar of Dibley. Yes, yes, yes. No, no. This is very small. This is far away. It's trying to explain that. Anyway, that's all I have to tell you about George Carlin. I can't thank Leon S. Kennedy. Beeb, my man, Beeb, enough for that song. And I will produce a video this weekend with pictures. And I actually have an idea in my head for shooting video for it. It's like video with me in it and the Jag. Oh, did I watch Arsenal versus PSV? I really didn't because we had that 6-goal advantage. I watched the first half. We were up. I think we might have been up 2-1 at half. And then I think we ended up losing the second leg 4-2. But that's one of those deals where it's like, who cares? You know, we've got the 6-goal advantage. So the aggregate, you're not going to beat us by 7 goals. You know, on the following leg. And our season, we're not going to, I think we may have Real Madrid in the bracket next. That isn't happening. So our season's done. And Arteta should be out. OWT out. I thought Roy Keane gave the best summation. He went down through the list and just went through the list of the times we were supposed to step up and we didn't. And they were every single time. He was just sitting there. Well, what evidence are they giving? What evidence do we have that they're going to make this charge and they're going to do this? We have none. Every time they've had a chance to step forward, they haven't done it. Not one single time. I mean, he's completely right. So I'm over it. Arteta, get out of there. If this was Chelsea or Man United or any number of other teams, he'd have been gone already. I did watch the Sir Jim Ratcliffe interview with Gary Neville about Man U. Oh, boy, that was a rough one. Wolf says, I can go back to listening to Irish radio broadcasts covering the national football team. I always send the Wolf YouTube shorts with Roy Keane rants on them. They're great. I love it when Joe Kelly tells Roy, he's like, you were late. Were you in makeup? And he's eating something. He goes, you were down there for 2 hours, and I tell you, it's made no difference. You see? I love Linux. Good old Linux. Oh, by the way, this is my Calling Barranca shirt. Yeah, it's Calling Barranca from Angels Who Have No Wings. Got this for Christmas from my friend Kurt. Go to ConnorGuitart.com. Tell him Tom sent you. Available all over. You can go to their Facebook page, wherever else you want to go. Check out the guitars there. They're freaking incredible. They're freaking incredible, man. He's also the guy that took these pictures, I might add. Oh, God, I hate you, StreamYard. I hate you so much. Took these pictures. Took all them their pictures. He's the feller what done that, is what he done. That's what he done, don't you know? Do you play guitar, Tom? No, I don't. I do not. I play the harmonica. I play the harmonica. I'm telling you what. I don't even know how we're going to do the end of the show because apparently I can't play this video with no sound and play the song over it. Because of course. Of course. And by the way, Funky Bronco, I can't, let's see here. I sent his page to Feld for his Perv new magazine down there in Brazil. Not every day that I do this show am I super excited. I try to be. But one thing that makes me super unexcited is when every day the first 5 posts are Funky Bronco going, these winter beers are good. I'm drunk. I just can't. It's like the biggest downer on earth. It's the biggest downer on earth. And so, Funky, you're not a member. You don't bring anything to the party. It was mildly amusing at first that you were smashed out of your mind, but after a while, it's just sad. Tim Jenkinson says if you can't play the video with the music, it's a good time to get the harmonica out. No, it's a good time to just not play the video. Is what that is. That's what that is there. So, anyway, I'm going to close down these phone lines, which is sad because May the 5th, the phone lines are all gone, ladies and gentlemen. Skype says shutting down. Shutting it on down, daddy. So I guess what I'll do is I'll end the show tonight with a montage of George Carlin images and my image. So that's all I have loaded in here right now. And I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. I guess we could do. Oh, you know what I was going to do was an Ask Me Anything. But it seems like if I did that, it'll be just like when I open the phone lines. Nobody's really going to ask me anything. So it's rough for an hour of just, so ask me anything. So, yeah, that probably wouldn't go over well. I guess if I can get the time, I'll do another overrated, underrated, which incidentally, by the way, those are legendarily low amount of views on those shows as well. This week, I think, is the lowest number of views maybe that we've ever had on this show, ever. So please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. And if you can, post the link to your friends and saying, hey, you'll probably hate this. I'm not really even that crazy about it, but I do watch it. Get this thing cranked up because... Man, I thought the huntsman spider would for sure, because the last time we did the camel spiders, people loved it. And the huntsman spider, to me, I think I'd rather have a camel spider than a huntsman spider. Those things are giant, and then what's the thing? They have a cling reflex. If they're on you and you get startled and trying to knock them off, they clamp. And well, you saw it on the show yesterday. Well, actually, most of you probably didn't. I'm not, it's like, look, I'm okay if we get triple digits. All right. Now, many times we get more than that, and that's cool. There was a while there we were really growing. But when we get, yeah, it's bad. The Wolf says, hey, I watched Albanian commercials for gold beer today while watching shows in an unfathomable language. Tim Jenkinson says, will you be going out to see the moon eclipse? No. We had a solar eclipse here not too long ago in Texas, in Dallas, and it was on the path of totality, which meant that it was completely covered, and it was like nighttime for couple of minutes. After that, I don't think the moon eclipse is going to do it for me too much. And I don't know that we can see it here in this part of the world. I don't know. Sadly, some people want drama on the internet. That's what it gets. Well, I remain committed to the fact that there are some people that want little to learn about things. Hey, I could do better. I could be doing better. I could be doing more, and I could be doing better. Not putting it all on other people. It's just I have a full-time thing to do. And it's that, you know, at a certain point, I would abandon my full-time thing. But until I get to that point, it's difficult to spend the time that I'd like to on all these shows. So, but I think you're right, Tim. You know, if I, you know, put my finger up my nose to the third knuckle every show, I'd get a lot more viewers. Say, the Wolf. No, Tim, you can't be serious. Yes, that's very. If I could take a shoelace and put it up one side and pull it out the other, oh, we'd skyrocket. Totally skyrocket. But you guys, thank you so much. Would like to thank Captain Stonecrab for our one donation today of $1.99, and it is appreciated. Very much appreciated. With all that being said, I think I got to get out of here. I think I think we should just put a fork in this. But the reason I think that is mostly because I get to play the song again. Lenny Ways. Lenny says, I'm late, but H2BH. H2BH right at you, Lenny. Right at you. Right back at you. Phone lines are closed, by the way. Lenny, you're just here. Tim says to have a good night. Same to you, sir. Hello, Lenny. People saying hi to Lenny. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, is verified by independent sources. That's got to be worth something. If we get, a couple thousand regular viewers to the show live, then that'll all change, won't it? Anyway, I think that, Lenny, I'm glad you're here because we're actually going to play the song on the way out. Is the producer coming on tonight? Well, I didn't get any messages from the producer that's supposed to be all into this show. He's clearly not watching this show. If he had posted in the chat room, I might have left the phone lines open on and had the person that would like to be the producer, who will, let's face it, never be the producer, on. Doesn't watch this show, doesn't know what's going on. Just, he wants a handout. He's Australian. He's used to Americans giving him things. Yesterday, the huntsman spider was our topic, and I put, like all things from Australia, it's horrible and creepy. I was hoping he would join the show to prove it, and he didn't. So I'm not against it, but well, anyways, says Scott is like a flighty broad. He really is, man. Urquid says, hello, Urquid, producer of Hot Air. Well, you got that right. Probably starts hurricanes over the open sea when the water gets cool. I guess the water gets warm for a hurricane, but the hot air, you know what I mean. Okay, kids, we're going to shut this baby down. Old clock on the wall says, like the Reverend Al Green, I got to get up on out of here. And speaking of the Reverend Al Green, my new theme song could have been done by Al Green. Okay? Please like, please share, please subscribe. Please post on all your social media networks. Please. Okay, maybe this episode sucked, but pick one that you liked and thought was good, and then put that one out there. The Deep Throat one, maybe. A lot of people like that one. Something attention-getting. The Pervitine episode. Anyway, here's our brand new song. I think it's going to be a big, big hit. And I'll take you out with some George Carlin images and your quotes. Thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it. You're the best. Wouldn't be a show without you. And with all that being said, the only thing left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.
Talking about, we're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin, and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. One, two, three, four. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking